Hey there, here's 50 more of the best Half-Life 2 Remaster mods. Mods that enhance the visuals or perhaps even gameplay of Half-Life 2 and its episodes that can be installed with one easy click from the workshop. This is the second part to a previous video of mine, though you can watch that one after this one just as well. And just like the first video, I will not be including fixes. Those mods are great but don't make for an interesting video. I will only focus on actual changes to assets or gameplay. Subscribe, thank you. Better ammo limits. The weapons and their mechanics are generally agreed upon to be the least fleshed out aspect of Half-Life 2, seeming more like an afterthought, which is made obvious by tons of design choices, including their ammo limits. This mod by GUI adjusts the ammo limits, both by buffing that of certain weapons and nerfing that of others. Playing Half-Life 2 with this mod will actually have you use the entirety of the arsenal instead of limiting you to just using the SMG and USP for 90% of your combat interactions. Enhanced fire effect. Fire in real life is mostly white in most environments, with only the edges of it transitioning towards yellow and red tones. This is usually not represented in games, including Half-Life 2. This mod by Nye perfectly enhances the Half-Life 2 fire to look more realistic without sacrificing the source engine style of it. This makes fire look a lot more satisfying and, as mentioned, more realistic. A must-have. Dynamic fire glow. This mod by xdxdxd adds the same effect you see with burning zombies in the undergrounds of episode 1 to burning objects of all the games. This is just a small visual improvement you have no reason not to get if you ask me. It looks especially great in dark areas like Ravenholm or parts of the canals. Fixed Pistol Bullet Casing Ejection. This is a fix, but one that changes the visuals drastically. As I just mentioned, most of your Half-Life 2 runs probably consist of using the pistol 90% of the time. You may not be aware of a glitch with this pistol though, which is that it's supposed to eject bullet casings after every shot. This mod by Arik fixes this, and makes using the pistol look a lot cooler. Lore-friendly post-Ravenholm early morning. You arrive at Eli's lab at sunset. In Ravenholm it's night, and once you leave it's suddenly midday? While one could say that a ton of time passed between you entering the mines and leaving them again, the average player realistically never spends more than 15 minutes in them, which means it should be morning if anything, which is exactly what this mod by Unknown Pleasures does. I really like the looks of this level in the retail version, and the morning setting only enhances it. Easy 2 Bad Cop and Wilson in episode 1 and 2. This mod features spoilers for the Entropy Zero mod series that I heavily recommend you playing unspoiled, so feel free to skip to the next entry if you haven't played them. You may remember the moment in Entropy Zero 2 where it's revealed that you, the player, are one of the Combine elites that stormed the base Mosin was standing in during her transmission to White Forest. While this perfectly fits into the transmission already anyways, this mod adds a distinct look to the Combine that is supposed to be the player, and also adds Wilson. I personally love to include Entropy Zero into my headcanon, so this mod by Shadow Weasel is a great way to help do that. For anyone who'd rather not have it be there all the time, there's a randomized edition as well, though this doesn't fit into my headcanon personally. Enhanced blood particles. The blood particles seen in Half-Life 2 are noticeably dark. Blood isn't a bright glowing neon red in real life, but it certainly can be under the right lighting conditions. This mod by Herta reflects this by adding both better blood particle textures and also having them change depending on the lighting. Alien blood is also improved and now more clearly and purposefully glows in the dark, which looks nice. Better combat AI. Since the workshop released, this is a mod a ton of people wished for. This mod by xdxdxd enhances the AI of all the different kinds of Combine soldiers, and also that of rebels. Specifically, it enhances their combat. It uses the standoff system that has always been implemented into Half-Life 2 but is only sparingly used. This mod uses that system to enhance the enemy's AI, mostly making them less pursuing and have them take more cover. There is also the aggressive Combine AI mod by the same maker, but I personally prefer the less aggressive nature of the base mod. Choose whatever suits you better though. Health and armor regeneration. These mods are for the ones who suck at games, like my dumbass. These mods, which are also made by xdxdxd, add passive regeneration to your health and armor, including a variety for the health mod that only regenerates up to 20 HP, which is the only one of these I personally use. The most awful situations in a Half-Life 2 playthrough are the ones where you're stuck at 1 HP in some corner with a Combine shotgunner around the corner, where no matter what you try and do you'd get one-tapped immediately. Being able to regenerate a bit of health will solve some of these softlock moments. Moving Foliage. This mod by J0Jantan adds some wind sway to close to every single piece of foliage in Half-Life 2 and its episodes. It's both subtle enough to where one might not be able to put a finger on what's changed, and at the same time changes a ton about the visuals. Not to break this mod for you before you even install it, but sometimes staring too closely at it does look somewhat goofy. That being said, you probably won't notice this on a regular playthrough, and instead just subconsciously notice the improved looks. Sofia, Bulgaria. So last time I recommended you a mod that upped the very low scale texture you see of the city in the Citadel. And while that mod is a huge improvement, it still uses the same piece of landscape used by the original texture, which is Manhattan, New York. There's huge rivers and bridges and just generally pretty unfitting architecture for Half-Life 2. Especially given that we know, thanks to Half-Life Alyx, that Half-Life is, for all intents and purposes, set in Sofia, Bulgaria. This mod by Zed does the only sensible thing and replaces the insanely bad original texture with that of Sofia, Bulgaria, which is what I would say makes it the definitive Half-Life 2 cityscape texture. If it weren't for the shadows on the texture facing exactly the wrong direction. Valve, Zed, please fix. xdxdxd's Griggs and Sheckley. Griggs and Sheckley are the unsung heroes of Half-Life. And if you think about it, it's quite a shame that they didn't get their own distinct look. I mean, Odessa got his own look, so why not these guys? This mod by xdxdxd gives him some unique cosmetics to make their look stand out. Griggs has lost one of his eyes and Sheckley is now old and has a Kevlar vest and a helmet. This finally gives them the unique look they well deserve. Cinematic lens flares. Now this mod gets cinematic. No. This mod by Lens Flares on Everything 13, what a fitting name, and Crazy Dragon of Justice adds a realistic amount of lens flares to basically every single light in Half-Life 2. You can choose between 3 different styles and enable dirt on the screen using the console if you'd like to have that. The only thing to consider with this mod is that you have to press either 1, 2 or 3 on your numpad on each map load to activate this mod, each number being a different style of lens flares. But I think this is fair enough. Standalone Flashlight. Don't you hate having to swim through dark bodies of water in Half-Life 2 right after running away from metro cops, which means you have to choose to spend your last aux bar on either sprinting, breathing underwater or your flashlight? And don't you sometimes wish it was instead handled the way it was in episode 2 in both Half-Life 2 and episode 1, where the aux and flashlight are separated? Well, this mod by xdxdxd does just that. This really just feels like the only reasonable change after episode 2. Breen Reverb. This mod by THG adds more immersion to the Breen and Kleiner speeches by adding reverb to them. This is how it sounded before.
Will they ever deactivate the suppression field and let us breed again?
I feel obliged to point out that a more fortunate side effect of the reactor's destruction is the complete removal of the Combine's reproductive suppression field.
And this is after.
Will they ever deactivate the suppression field and let us breed again?
I feel obliged to point out that a more fortunate side effect of the reactor's destruction is the complete removal of the Combine's reproductive suppression field.
It is a lot more muffled this way, so it is up to personal preference, though this most likely won't be your first playthrough anyways. And don't act like you actually listen to their words. A problem with this mod is that you have to edit some files yourself after installing it, which is not a big deal at all, but some people shy away from it. Which guys, learn how to browse your files, it's a life changer. This mod is very well worth it. Let me know if you guys want me to keep making these videos from time to time when more mods release. A Steam collection of this video is in the description. Note that you need to do some specific steps to correctly install the Breen Reverb mod. Otherwise, thank you for watching.